participating in the chat. And I feel like we're, got enough people and are late enough now. Maybe we can just kind of start with the content. So quick agenda is one, again, I'll say that this is being recorded. We'll share the recording and probably the deck and everything else after too. The resources that I'm going to be sharing, we'll share with all attendees and RSVPs. And then, so I'm going to go through like a few slides, a bit of presentation here, which is around like tips and tricks for prompting. I know this whole webinar, I don't know if I should call it a webinar, live session and demo is going to be around how to use AI and prompts to get the most out of one common room, but like you could also apply this to an LLM and other AI, like the what is it, LLM foundational models. You can apply it to lots of different things. And so I think what I'm hoping to do is like give people some frameworks and some ways to like make their prompting and just get more out of AI based on what we're seeing from people on our team building for our customers and the results they're seeing and stuff like that. So that's kind of the gist of it. And then so it'll be some slides in the beginning here, and then I'll jump into like actually showing showing the prompts and like doing some work in Common Room, and showing you kind of like what that looks like, and taking the applied learnings and then putting them to practice towards the second half. And then we'll do more like Act 3, we'll do Q&A, but also I can answer questions and stuff like that in the meantime. So without further ado, I should stop talking and start getting into like the actual presentation here. So um, I think a lot of people have probably seen the CEOs or whoever talking about this, where it's like AI usage is now a baseline expectation. I feel like this is just like a very obvious thing, but and to me, it wasn't like, I was like, okay, well, I wouldn't like change what I'm doing. And most of the people who I work with and on my team and stuff aren't changing what they're doing based on like what CEOs are saying. But I feel like it is just kind of like a baseline expectation now. And it's almost like the market or the media or whatever is like, this is kind of like what CEOs expect. The problem with it is, or I think it's not a problem, it's just like not everyone just knows how to do these things intuitively. So so my goal with this, like I was saying before, is to kind of teach people frameworks and even like copy pastable prompts. If you want to steal them, that's fine. And just make the work that you're doing, especially on like, I think a lot of people here are trying to, generate pipeline through signals and like customer data and all this kind of stuff. And so like, hopefully this will give you some good techniques and tips and prompts for doing that as a goal. So it's a small corner of what AI can do, of course, but this is like the objective of the meeting here. Prompting is a whole new world. I like to use lots of visuals and stuff. It's just like fun to show. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to add to this slide. I do want to start with like a place where a lot of sales reps and marketers, just anyone kind of like starts at this like very basic level, which it's fine. It just it's not exactly like, it's not going to give you like the best results, or it's going to give you like very generic results of what maybe like probably a little bit worse than like an AI SDR tool would do, but just like chatting one-to-one with ChatGPT is like maybe like helpful, or whatever LLM you like to use, but it's not really like the best place um, like gather context that's needed to generate pipelines. So I've kind of like been working and workshopping this maturity curve, and I guess this first part is the bottom here, just like one-to-one chatting with an LLM. And like, I mean, I think that gets you, instead of like drafting an outbound message or like doing some research, like that gets you actually like pretty far along. Of course, it's like a pretty big boon for us to be able to like do that and have an LLM model, or some sort of like agent doing research. It's just very like, this bottom part is where a lot of people start, and that's fine. It's just it's still very pretty manual, and maybe you're cutting out like half of the effort of your day versus like cutting like orders of magnitude in these like other kind of stages of the like AI maturity model. And so the one thing I wanted to chat through or go through today is we're kind of going to be in this like middle zone of what I'm going to be sharing, which is like taking all of your data and all of your accounts and like using that as kind of an input for informing the AI to do its thing, and having like quality data there for the AI to go and personalize and like gather context and do all that type of stuff, which is really a time saver. But it's also like, it's hard to grab signals and like enrich data and drop it into an LLM. So like this is kind of like definitely stage two, or the next level of using AI for pipe gen. And then, you know, there's a path to get to fully agentic, like where it's all just doing stuff in the background for you. I'm probably not gonna get to this level today. I might like allude to like, here's how you would go about doing it. But anyway, I feel like this is a good mapping to, hopefully it's a good mapping. Maybe people can like say if it's helpful or not in the chat or something. But I feel like it's helpful to be like, oh, here's where we are, here's where we want to go, or like, put yourself, like benchmark yourself against this. So, I don't know. Feedback on this slide is very much welcomed. And now I'm not going to talk too much about Common Room. I'll of course be like demoing with Common Room, but um, I wanted to kind of share like this, this to get to this foundational level, you do need some sort of um, product or data capture to be able to, have AI, build on top of that foundation of data. And so this is where Common Room can like a platform like Common Room really like helps out and helps scale and make that the AI generation, like generating content or doing research for us, like can really benefit having something like this as the foundational data layer. So um, in real quick, it's capturing signals from first, second, third party sources, also using AI to go fetch signals for you. It's unifying all of those signals into a single user profile, so the person behind the signal, and enriching that person with like waterfall enrichment. So you have all the right contact info or context needed to prioritize if you'd reach out to them or not, or how to score them or whatever. And then that person level data also rolling up into an account, because it's matching this person that works at this account. So that helps with account prioritization and things like that. And then when you have these two things working in conjunction together, you can then run all these really kind of sophisticated plays and scoring and alerts and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of like this activation side. So yeah, that's kind of like the thesis and how Common Room works in a nutshell. And then if you layer on AI on top of all of that, you can start to do like really, really cool things, like having an AI agent. I kind of mentioned this already, having an AI agent go and capture signal for you that's bespoke to your business. And I'm going to get into some of this in the demo as well. Being able to like orchestrate different plays and also like prioritize different prospects to work out to prioritize based off of what buying signals you're seeing, and then providing that like context and next steps to like how to action those people. So this is kind of like that middle quarterback or orchestration layer where AI can certainly help, and especially with like scoring, because there's like so much data that's out there to score, and you can't score it all yourself because it's just you need like a data scientist to do it a lot of times. And then on the activation side, it's more of that like um, uh, generating different types of like outbound messaging and things like this. Is kind of like the SDR, AI SDR kind of layer, outbound message layer too. And you can use the signals and all this foundational data to inform that, which is a lot, we found is a lot more effective than just kind of like doing a cursory like LinkedIn scrape of someone's profile and using that for some lightweight personalization, which is where a lot of those kind of tools are right now. Okay, so the next part of this I wanted to cover is just some like prompting tech. There's like prompting techniques, prompting tips, and then kind of like concepts that I'm going to go through. And so hopefully this is going to give the group here some sort of like foundation of like our frame of reference, I should say, of what I'm going to be showing in the demo, but also hopefully this is a nice like takeaway of like, oh, how I can apply how I'm using AI, how I'm working with AI to make myself and my team or whatever more effective. And so what I'll show a lot today is thinking of having an LLM. In our case, it's Rumi AI, which is using various models, and telling having the LLM do different types of jobs versus just trying to like dump everything into one large prompt. And so the way I like to think about it, and one way to think about it is you have a separate prompt for like different things. So you have a researcher prompt, you have a prompt that's just, fact finding for research, and then you have a judge that's saying like, okay, this prompt found this much research. I'm gonna like judge it and say like, oh, I'm gonna classify different things. Maybe it's like a true false field or different types of attributes or some sort of scale of confidence of like what the research returned. And then, there's maybe like a tech agent that's transforming things into like JSON or Markdown and stuff like that. So the LLMs I found work really well when you give them like specific tasks versus trying to like have them do all one task. And this is kind of like getting at that concept of having different prompts for different jobs. Um, this also is like a very tangential point here of like chunking out these different tasks, and you can kind of like daisy chain tasks on top of themselves, where it's like, oh, you have this prompt that's going out and like searching for something and returning values, and then you're going to take that prompt and then daisy chain that into like another prompt. And I'll be showing like how to do some of this in the demo. I'm seeing some stuff show up in the chat here. So we're talking about AI. Yeah, yeah. We'll get to this, Lauren, uh in more of the demo and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, and what's the next point I was? Oh, and then the other thing that I found really helpful, and I don't even know how to explain this so much. It's kind of like it's called chain of thought prompting. This is a pretty good like example of it, where you are giving the AI different types of like outcomes that you would like to see in like a um as if you're like kind of explaining like different examples to like an employee or something like that. And it helps to like to lay out or drop in your line of thinking. Hopefully your line of thinking is logical. That's also helpful. But if you kind of like walk through that, the AI performs a lot better and delivers a lot better results. You can see here in this example where if you only give it like one input and an answer, and then it gets confused. And so this is like actually a but whereas like if you do this chain of thought prompting, it's going to give you like the most an actual accurate answer. But this is actually something that's like a gotcha, where you have to build trust with an AI when using an AI, you have to like go in and check your work, and that's something I'm going to be showing more of too, and kind of sharing some personal experience there. Okay, prompting tips, and those are kind of tips too, but also more like frameworks. These are more like kind of growth prompting hacks, I would say. And so uh, reverse engineering what you want to starting with an endpoint and then having the AI generate a prompt for you. This is almost like how I generate most of my prompts, actually, is like I know what a good outbound message looks like, or variations of a good outbound message. If I'm, say, like generating an outbound message prompt, like you would use with like an AI SDR or something like that, and I'll put that message template, that email template, into an LLM and say, hey, I'm looking to do this. I want it to sound like this. Here's an example. Reverse engineer a prompt for me so that I don't have to like write out this huge prompt myself, which I'm not going to get right. So it's like almost like chatting with the LLM to tell you the end result, and like it'll reverse engineer it for you. Is a pretty strong. I feel like it's a good tip. I don't know if that's very obvious. Maybe people already know all this, but I tend to find that like very useful for because especially because like typing out the prompts, this is kind of like a funny thing, is like typing out the prompts themselves, you actually have a really, really large prompt, I found, but the output, like the result you get, is a lot like smaller than the prompt itself in this like go-to-market use case, where like this large prompt would maybe give you like 3 sentences of like an outbound email or something like that, which is kind of like a, I don't know, fun thing to or fun like fact finding kind of thing of using and having experience with like an LLM. Um, okay, this is a really good for doing like account research, especially. I feel like this is a really strong tip where if you give, I found that if you give an LLM pretty loose boundaries, it wants to like please you. It wants to make like give you the right answer, and it will then like hallucinate or not necessarily like give you what you're looking for unless you're specific. So in a lot of the prompts and what we share, we'll have these kind of like specific very very what's it called, like guardrail type of instructions, where it's like use only content that's published after a specific date, instead of like find me recent, because AI doesn't know how to interpret recent, and so it could interpret it like 5 years when you're actually looking for like 6 months of recency. And because it wants to please you, it wants to find an answer, it's going to go back as far as it, if you give it kind of loose boundaries. um, so cool. Hopefully that is a helpful tip. Um, and Crystal, if there's a question, feel free to like interrupt me too, because it's hard for me to like go back and forth. But if yeah, anyways, thanks for asking questions. I really appreciate it. It makes me know that people are there on the other end. Um, okay, next tip. Provide clear guardrails when results need to be precise. So this is kind of like giving clear instructions of like tone of voice, or like if you're pulling in different like bespoke types of like data points or something like that, you can tell the AI to reference this data point and how you want the output to look because of that reference point. And so you'll see this more in the prompts that we share and use, but it's also like a really nice tip to have like this carved out set of instructions, versus just trying to like do stream of thought instructions, or being loose with instructions and then you kind of like don't get the best results. Um, cool. Okay, so this is a fun one, and maybe people can actually, this will be a fun experiment. Like we generated this uh tool. They'll be like vibe coded, you could call it, this tool called pipeline playgenter. We call it Playgent. It's you can go to playgent.ai, or common the link that Crystal shared. It's just a redirect. We do have a vanity metric of Playgent. I'll type it in there. Playgent dot, oh man, it auto corrected. Playgent.ai too. It'll just redirect to this if you want to test it out. But this is just a fun learning I had when building this tool, is that we had to go through like 87 or 93 or something different versions of prompt engineering to get it to like have like pretty good results. And the reason we had to go through all those variations is because we tested, okay, sorry, I should say what it does. What it does is you can put your domain in, and if someone wants to drop a domain, I can like walk through a demo too. You put your domain in, and then it will look at our signal library of all the signal-based plays and things like that we've created. And it's categorized, those are categorized by like product-led signals or open source signals or website signals. And it'll crawl the domain. And what it'll do is say, this domain has lots of website signal or lots of product signal, or whatever. It's doing a bunch of like research on the back end using in this case it's Gemini Flash 2.0, which is a good for search, and then OpenAI O4 Mini for the reasoning. And like both these models are like somewhat fast. We get probably better results if we use like the fanciest like reasoning model, but the time would take a long time. So anyways, we're finding all this stuff out by testing lots of different accounts through this tool. And so by doing that testing, it actually helped us like really refine those results. So like testing a large sample size is super helpful, I feel like. I got one right here, which I don't actually know if we will find that. But let's try it. If anyone else wants to drop in a domain, I'm happy to try another one. So I'm not familiar with this company, Sanjuine Bio. Oh, it did find it, so that's good. Um, and so what this tool is doing is researching. Maybe that's five. I don't know how to pronounce this company, but it's gonna go find all this stuff about this company, um, and it'll suggest plays based on all the different findings that it's going out and fetching right now. And so it does take like a bit of time. Like it's going out and like it probably takes like it just took like maybe I don't know 20 seconds to go find all this stuff. But you can see here that it's found social following, team size, funding, things like that, metadata about the company. And it's suggesting different plays. So because it found 60,000 social followers, it's like, oh, do social selling plays, and then do sales-led plays. And then it does like an AI wildcard pick here. And you can share this report, copy it, and all that kind of stuff too. So it's kind of a fun tool to play with. And thank you all. I'm noticing other people are putting in different URLs here. So those will be fun to test too, or test them yourself. But yeah, it's building this helped me get to like all these kind of like do's and don'ts. And yeah, so it's hopefully I can be helpful sharing those learnings. Okay. Oh, this is another interesting one. And it's more along the lines of like what you want to see in results. And it's instructing the AI. I guess you would put this also. Let me go back here in the instruction here of like, don't just tell me if you get a false, if you can't find anything, don't just say unknown, give you like a reason, or don't just say error, give you a reason. And like I find that it's very frustrating when you like don't put these instructions in and you're trying to do like account research and it like doesn't tell you why it's not giving you a result, or why it's having an error with the finding or something like that. So this is almost like a tip for using Common Room, but it's really helpful to not just get like unknown as a return value, because it's not super helpful. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the demo itself. And so I kind of wanted to cover these things. I think I'm going to cover all of them through what I'm doing in the demo, but if anyone has any like things to throw at me, I'll be able to try it live too, and then we'll share all the prompts that I'm going to be kind of walking through in a PDF, which we can share the link to. But before we do that, I don't want to share it just yet. You have to like listen to me go through the demo first. Okay, so I created this helpful prompting guide, and I'm going to cover like two different use cases for using AI for PipeGen. One is to go find context and write it to like do research and find signals or find things that you want to enrich about the account, so that you can help at the account level to prioritize, that account, or to build like micro campaigns. So this is kind of like the research side. And then we'll apply this research to the generative outbound messages that we're going to create. So I kind of am bucketing them in these two bucketing this demo into these two different areas here. Okay, so you can see here. So say we wanted, actually, I'll show a demo of what it looks like in Common Room first, to kind of get a feel of what I'm trying to do here. So if I go into any one of these accounts, like, so this is a demo instance of Common Room, and you can see that there's like different accounts here. If I click on, say, HubSpot, we have AI research on HubSpot, and if I wanted to run this research and populate this using AI, like having AI go and fetch out all these things that are important about this account, I can do that fairly easily. Let me find one that's not done. Hopefully I can find one that's not done. DHL supply. I don't know if that's going to be the best result. Maybe I can go here. Here we go. Branch, JP Morgan, Casper. Casper might be a good one. Okay, so I'm going to click on Casper, and then you can see here that there's the AI is not doing any, like hasn't done any kind of like research on this account. So if I click on AI research, you'll see that like it's building out all these things. Some of them are populated, but it's like going out and fetching and returning this data on this account. So as I to settle this up, essentially there's prompts behind all of these research findings. And I'm going to go through these three here today to show you like how we're instructing Rumi AI, it's the common Rooms product in this instance, to go find stuff about this account and return it. So then that serves as context for our sellers to go prioritize this account or how to get into this account or use what's being found to personalize outbound message and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so to find these things, what is going on in the background here, and I have cheat code links to help me out because we have a lot of different prompts in our demo mode. But okay, so there's like I was saying before, there's like jobs to be done for each of the different prompts here. And we're kind of like chaining them together to come up with like the insights that are needed to reach out to this account versus just dumping it into one big finding. So the first thing is a researcher. This is the agent that's going to go research any account's billing model. And so if I click into here, this is like what that prompt looks like in Common Room. So you can see I have the title here, and then also it's telling the prompt, like it's giving the prompt a job. It's like you're a research assistant that's skilled in this one thing, and like somehow AI does really well if you tell it to like think like a this, or you're an expert at this, like you're an expert SDR, and you're like really good at generating outbound messages. Like that sometimes helps for whatever reason, which is kind of a tip that I didn't include, but I found it to be true. And you can see here we're just looking for this is an example of like trying to be clear on like what the prompt is doing. And so we're looking for fact finding. This is not deterministic or trying to be deterministic at all. It's just like, I want to see if there's subscription, consumer-based billing, tiered pricing. Go out, find facts. Here are guidelines around this. And then here's like a helpful example of what we want that to look like. And then it's instructing the prompt to say like this is very simple. It's just saying like use the organization name and their website to do this research. And so this is essentially just going to go and find facts about a company. And so hopefully if I go, let me see if I can go back into this room here. I think I found that Substack was a good example. And so you can see here on the researcher billing model, it's just providing returning some information that it found about that business model in like a pretty citing a source. So pretty like simple prompt there. Now, as we get a little bit more advanced, let's say we want to understand the business models of a bunch of our target accounts, and maybe if someone has a subscription model versus a sales billing model, like a annual license or something like that, like those are different plays or different context that's helpful about each account. And so that's more of what this prompt is doing here, is just trying to get one classification of what this company's billing model is. So it'll be like tiered, subscription, consumption based as examples, and we're being very clear here of like what we're telling the AI to go fetch and return for us. And the other interesting thing, which I should just go into the link here, is that it's building off of the previous prompt. And so yeah, the same instructions I just like copy and pasted from that prompt, which we will share. And then you can see here, instead of saying like, go find information about this company, it's saying use this return value, this billing model research that our researcher went and did for us, and use that as your input. And when you do things like this, where you're pretty sure that like this result is a solid result, that's going to help improve the fidelity of what this prompt ends up in. Like it's going to make this part of like what's returned be more accurate. And so if I go back into our app here, into Common Room, and go into Substack. So this is also where I say, when I say the prompt is much longer than the return result. This result is I think it's called like single shot prompting. It's essentially just giving you one answer. And so you can see here that this billing model is subscription. And this is also something to check. Like I don't actually, I know Substack people subscribe that have subscriptions to it. But like this is also something you probably want to check within like a handful of 10 different in this case, it would be 10 different billing models or a variation of billing models within each account to just make sure that the AI is returning the right value. I think in this case, it's probably accurate. And then the moving on to the last part. So this is helpful, especially because like now I can say like if I wanted to narrow down to accounts for my reps to work and like and create a play that they're only like going to work subscription model accounts, I can do that by saying add filter here. And I can say subscription model, right? What was the name of that? Oh, judge billing model. Billing model judge equals subscription. And hopefully I spelled that right. And you'll see the orgs that have that return value. So like this could be your own like subscription-based account outbound play, that because you're using AI to like find this bespoke information that you care about. It's almost like a custom enrichment. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to show here on the research side is the like strategist. So this is more of like trying to interpret all of the other prompts that we've created. So you can see down here, I haven't like gone into like all these other prompts where we're doing like risk analysis, looking at earnings calls, looking at industry. And so this is essentially this prompt here uses that billing model as an input, but it also uses a bunch of other prompts like to find competitors and other things like that. So this is essentially like one prompt that aggregates all of the other prompts together and will provide a strategic, in this case, it's prompted to find a strategic angle about their billing model plus like all this other information that we're finding about that account. And so, and again, like I haven't like tested these, the accuracy of these like completely perfectly. Like I haven't like tested these in the field so much, but I like just kind of looked at the results. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm more just trying to share like here like the mechanisms for to do this kind of stuff, and you actually go in and verify when you do it yourself. I found like just working with LLMs, you really have to like check your work. And I'm also saying this, I guess, as an excuse so that if you see an example that's not like this is the wrong one actually. If you see an example that's not great, it's less. It's more of a I don't know, a caveat for myself to protect myself. I don't know. Me being like self-conscious in demo mode, I guess. Anyways, so you can see here, I would also give an instruction to like break these out into separate lines as some feedback for my AI prompt instructions. But you can see here that there's an exec summary, strategic priorities, sales strategy. So this is kind of like the strategy that it's suggesting that our reps should go and execute on to like get into this account. Okay, so I think that covers the research side of things. And now I'm going to get into some of the more like the fun stuff, I guess, for I don't know, it's fun to me to do outbound messaging. And so sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Yes, the recording will be sent out. So let's get into some of the warm outbound prompts. And I'm actually going to go through all three of these on this screen, and then we'll go into the actual like demo of Common Room. Let me just close out some of these tabs because my OCD is kicking in. I want that one, and I think that's it. Okay, cool. So for these warm outbound prompts, I found that you can take a kind of crawl, walk, run approach to this. And what I mean by that is you don't have to get acquainted and start doing like outbound message generation for like generating pipeline. You don't necessarily have to have the AI write the entire outbound message for you. And like there's different ways to get to like the whole message, which is this whole pie one I call right here. So this one right here is actually just trying to write the opening line, the opening sentence to an outbound message by trying to like understand what's going on within the account, what signals we're finding on that person, and then generating like an outbound hook, like just a one sentence that it's going to put into an SEP, like outreach or the Gong Engage or Apollo. Like so, this is essentially just generating one sentence, and it's going to inject that into a token within like a sales outbound tool. So you could and I feel like this is a good way to get started because like it's an opening line. You're trying to like pattern break the barrage of emails that people are getting, and AI can be really creative and help you generate a message that stands out. And so I think this is a fun one to share. Actually, maybe I'll just jump into it now. So I'll go into Common Room and I'm demoing it in the wild here. So results may vary. Another caveat for myself, but here we have, this is Common Room, and we have different plays here. And this is a play for pricing page visits from economic buyers who have visited the pricing page in the last 28 days. So, pretty standard type of play here. And say we wanted to send an outbound message to one of these people. As a rep, I can, click on all of them or whatever and add them to an outreach sequence. Like this is pretty standard of what Common Room can do. But if I want AI to generate that for me, I have this prompt. Actually, I wanted to show what that prompt looks like real quick too. Yeah, you can see the prompt here. The hook, yeah. So it's looking at all sorts of activity that's happening at the contact and organization level and trying to like figure out what is interesting about this input, this signal, to generate just a spicy hook for my outbound message. And so again, long prompt, one sentence outcome pretty much for this. And so for Robin here, I can say draft AI message, and I have like my 3 up here, and I'm gonna for this one show the hook. Like this is just an opening hook. If I click on this, it's gonna take a second to generate that message. And it's kind of like, let's see what this came up, but your team's manual event data tracking is like using a flip phone in a smartphone world. Okay, so let's change that. So it's looking at what's happening like at the account level, something around like data tracking in this case, I guess. And then trying to plug in some humor here. So that's a fun like playful example that I feel like is like that's a good start maybe to just putting in a template for the rest of the email because like this like stands out. So good entry point here. I'm pretty happy with that hook. I don't know, wasn't too bad. But yeah, again, you can keep prompting and keep massaging to get it to a place where it's like, oh, it's coming up with like 90% of the time it's coming up with really good hooks. Okay, so the next phase of outbound that I wanted to cover is what I call like the dynamic injection. So this example is essentially giving the outbound message some guardrails and inserting different signals and different parts of contextual personalization that we know about this user and this account and injecting it into the message here. So I'm going to go actually into Common Room because it's the same thing here as what's in Common Room. So if I click on this, you can see here in the example message, it is saying, was looking at the URL that we found about that company or this company's URL, and then tying it together with their business model. And then we're giving it instructions over here of like, we recently helped customer unlock benefit with results. Like anything in these brackets here is where we're doing that dynamic injection. And then we're giving it kind of instructions at the bottom here to say like to use I think in this part of the prompt here, it's giving instructions to reference what's down here as the content to inject into the personalized message. So it should grab either Notion or SEMgrep and plug in the customer we help. So Notion or SEMgrep, give them the benefit, which is showing here, showing here the benefit, and then the result. and it'll mix things up because it's AI, so it's not going to just copy and paste this verbatim. I don't usually, it doesn't do that. Okay, so let's look at what that looks like when I go back to a user. So I don't, maybe let's pick on someone different this time. Um, I probably should go in demo mode, but hopefully it's okay. So if I do dynamic injection here for Dharmesh, I was looking into Dhruva had this is finding like the business model and then referencing that semgrep information here. So you can see like the dynamic injection at play. Not as fun as the hook, I guess, but it's it's gonna personalize every message you send out in this like kind of structured way if you wanted to do that kind of like AI assisted personalization. And it's like a safe way to do to send out emails like this at scale versus like just relying wholly on the LLM doing all of the drafting for you. So I kind of like this as like it's not just one line, you're sending the whole email using AI, but it's like a step into like getting to that like whole like fully agentic side of things, which you might not trust just yet until you start seeing like results from doing this in a more manual fashion. And you also actually don't have to do it all in a manual fashion. You could do select multiple people and then add them to a sequence, and like it would do that dynamic insertion as well. And then you could also fully automate it, which I'll show at some point later. Okay, last thing here, and actually I thought it was going to be shorter. I'm a little long-winded today. I thought it was going to be shorter, but we still should have time for questions at the end here. The last thing I wanted to show though is the prompts for doing the whole thing. And so here you can see we are giving it actually pretty strong guardrails of how we want the email or message to be generated. So we're saying like just 3 parts: opening hook, supporting social proof, CTA, and you could add a fourth here, whatever kind of email structure you want or outbound structure you want. But like giving these kind of like guardrails is really important, I found, because like if you just say like, hey, just write a great email message for me that gets a reply and use these signals, the results are not as reliable that you would actually like use them. It might be like a helpful like 0 to 1 or like not starting from a blank canvas from a rep. But when you structure it in this way, one, if you're an ops person or like you're the SDR manager or sales manager or something, like you can have more control over like what your team is doing and not like going completely off the rails with AI. And then I just think that this is um, be safer than just like telling your team, hey, use AI and like here's a product that we built, and like giving it a light prompt will make the outcome, like the example, like way less acceptable, I guess. I don't know what the right word for it is, but I just kind of like using this, giving it like a pretty clear framework with an example. And so if I go back into common room here, let's see, you can see that reflected here. We are also pulling in different buying signals, both at the organization and the contact level here. One thing I forgot to show actually is if I wanted to add like, I know there's already primary competitors here. Let me see, like business model was already there. Let me see, like doing, if I type in these brackets, I can just pull in all of the signal to inform, how the AI, what the AI references to personalize something. And so if I wanted to do like a, closed loss reason or firmographic summary or something like that, I could pull in that into my prompt here, which is super powerful because you don't have to like type. It would be impossible to just like type in all of this in your prompt. I mean, you could do it one-to-one, but this is just taking all the data that's already in common room and using it as an input to get the outcome that we're looking for here. So did want to show that off. And then again, this one's also looking at different customer stories to plug it into this like middle content here. And so if I go back to my list here, yeah, I'm just gonna pick on Robin again, I guess. And I can do the whole pie. And you can see it's kind of, yeah, it's got that simple first sentence. it's finding a relevant customer story and then giving a CTA. This is kind of like a very simplistic example. Maybe if I go to this person here, we'll see if it generates a more differentiated message. But again, this is probably like the message that you get is probably because I'm trying to be like too strict with the guidelines of like only have this character count or whatever. Like you can explore the boundaries and test through prompting. It just it just takes a while because you have to like look at the results that you're getting. So kind of doing the same thing here. So maybe like to make this more fun, I would go in and adjust the prompt there to make it a little bit more loose or whatever. So anyways, that is all I wanted to cover. That's all I have. I think we will share, or Crystal will help me share the PDF of this if you want to like grab the prompts. We're not, happy to share these prompts. Although I would say like at use them, copy paste them at your own risk. I would say they're more for inspiration than like just drop into Common Room or any LLM for that matter. And so we did the demo. Last thing I wanted to mention before Q&A is that anyone who's on this live session right now, we can give you, instead of 14 days and 1,000 credits of using our AI, Rumi AI, we will give you 30 days and 5,000 credits. So if you're not already using Common Room, if in sign up, just mention that you saw this or send me a DM or I can go in the back end and like adjust this for you. So I wanted to make sure the group here has this offer. And then I talk about a lot of this stuff. It's more of a plug for myself. I talk about this all the time on LinkedIn. And so encourage people to follow me for the latest and greatest stuff. So with that, I will jump into questions. Okay, let me see. Are you concerned that buyers, so this is a question from Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. Are you concerned that buyers will be able to spot these types of messages as AI, given it's basically integrated into all systems? Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is a concern in general of just because you have access to all these types of tools like the AI SDRs or Common Room, it just becomes very easy to send out messages at scale. And that's where I really like to fall back on things like that are specific to your first party data or your specific business model, or like generating a fun hook based on those inputs, so that when someone is getting barraged with a ton of AI SDR generated emails, even though you're using AI, you're still using bespoke inputs and bespoke different things, so that when someone is going through the outbound message, whether it's on LinkedIn or through an email, that your message like stands out because it's like calling out something that's specific, that that's a pain point of that person receiving the email, or it's using some activity that it found to have like a fun opening line, or reference something that's in like a earnings call. I feel like the outbound SDRs are usually just trained on like the predictable revenue playbook with like, and then scraping like LinkedIn or Google to find something interesting about this person. Whereas like, if I'm gonna go back to the Common Room slide here, if you have all of these inputs and this like foundational data layer, your outbound messages can stand out a lot more. Cool. Got a question here from Garrett, and not a whole lot of questions. Interesting. Got a question here from Ryan. Sorry, Ryan Garrett. Is Rumi AI part of basic Common Room, or is it a higher tier? So you can find all this on our pricing page. We do offer. Hold on, let me go here. I should use this as my source of truth versus just saying stuff. We do offer a just basic like research and prompt for Ruby AI Capture on the basic plan, where you get to where the pricing comes in is just like on that credit side of things. And like so this will get you like 1 or 2 prompts, I think, or 5,000 orgs. And if you go over 5,000 orgs, then like that's when we start doing more of the like changing different tiers. So it's like kind of getting into it's fixed pricing, but it's kind of getting into like more of like a consumption based model. So I would say like yes, it's part of the basic tier. You can try it and use it. But as you use it, if you use it more and more, like we'll have to like move you up to a higher tier because even though the cost of AI is going down, it's still we still have to pay all the LLM models ourselves too. So it's definitely not a free feature for us to just like offer to people. So yeah, hopefully that was somewhat clear and helpful. Um, cool. Anyone else? But yeah, we did want to make it like ungated and free so you can at least try it, because that's part of validating whether it's going to be helpful or not. Um, cool. I don't think there's anything else. Crystal, are you able to share that? Maybe you put it in there already, that link of the prompt so people can like download that. I mean, I'm gonna share it in post too, but uh cool. One more question here from another Kevin. Great. Any tips on making sure you match the persona style messaging within these prompts? Yeah, okay. This is a great tip, a great question. So there's a couple ways to do this, and like I think over time our products will be better at doing this too. So if you are, let me go back to one of those outbound prompts. Let's just use this one for example. I think uh actually maybe use this one. I should click on the link. So there are different outlets for doing that. Like this about your business section is blank, and you can use this for right now to use as like your own reference point. So if you're going to create a prompt for like um, uh, yeah, one way to do this is to say like I'm going to create a micro campaign, a smaller segment that's based around like only product marketers, for example. And if you wanted to do that, you could put in like drop in your positioning and messaging for product marketers in this about your business section, and then just say like reference this to understand like what will resonate with this person they're reaching out to. So that's like one way to do that is to just drop in specific instructions based on a persona. You could do it for industry, you could do it for anything really if you're just dropping it in here. Um, the other thing you can do is you can like for the other examples, like I had our um, customer proof in this section here. And so what you could also do with Common Room is if I'm looking at contacts, I can say, I'm going to build a quick micro campaign for everyone here. So you could quickly say like, show me any website visits in the last, or anyone who's visited at least 3 pages in the last 7 days. And hopefully this is like, can actually find some results here. And their title is, let's call it, let's do marketing. And then I could also add another filter here for like, size of company or something if I wanted to, is at least 20. And so this would be like a hyper specific micro campaign. There's only 41 people in it, but if you narrow down your audience list, which is a nice way of doing guardrails to this, like to generating prompts with some guardrails so that like it's not going to be completely off message because like that all these people have marketing in their title. And so you could create a specific outbound prompt just for this micro campaign based on their website activity and that that they're a marketer, and like use that in your prompt versus having the prompt be more generic like this. So you could essentially take this and just insert like you are writing this prompt for a marketing person, reference the about your business section to extract and infer different pain points, and then provide like an example of what that pain point you want to draw out from in the example. And then I think that would be a good starting point to get it to to bend the AI to work based on specific roles. Cool. Hopefully that was helpful, Kevin. And wow, 3 minutes left. Wow. And I think that's it. So thanks everyone so much for joining. And of course, we will share the recording and all that stuff after this. And really appreciate it. Bye, everyone.